artificial rocks are made to provide concealment for observation posts and machine gun emplacements. The construction may be organized on a production line basis. A framework may be made by wiring branches together. This framework consists of irregularly shaped chicken wire covered with cloth. Similarly constructed foxhole covers are covered with glued paper. All such artificial objects are suitably painted in natural colors. Other frameworks are made of number 10 wire fastened together with number 16 wire. The frameworks are made in various sizes and are covered with pieces of paper dipped in a flour paste or plaster. This technique requires very little material. Cloth also may be dipped in flour paste, and while the paste is still wet, formed over thick brush. When the paste is dry, the brush is removed, leaving a light but fragile imitation rock. The covered forms are painted in appropriate colors to simulate local rock. Black or dark paint is spattered over the surface of this imitation rock in order to imitate the roughened texture found in nature. Foxhole covers are made very light and can be easily and rapidly opened, permitting the soldier in the foxhole to go into action quickly. A larger foxhole cover in the form of a disc is garnished at its edge with appropriately colored strips of cloth. The cover may be raised in any direction and allows for fairly well concealed all-around fire. This installation resembles a false shell hole. Canvas is used as a foxhole cover. A larger emplacement is covered with a wire framework which supports cloth, bushes, and artificial rocks. Paint and dirt aid in providing appropriate color and texture. A concealed entrance helps to prevent any suspicious-looking form of shadow in the terrain. Dark openings for weapons fire or observation should be kept as small as possible. During short halts, vehicles are parked and dispersed amid available natural growth. However, when a vehicle, such as a mobile reproduction unit, must remain in one place for any length of time, it is usually parked in a dug-in position, revetted with sandbags and covered with a large garnished flat top. The hidden entrance is tied into local growth. The nets are woven with appropriately colored garnishing, sloped gradually to the ground, and covered with clumps of typical desert foliage so that it will blend into the terrain. Garnished nets are also used to hide supply dumps as well as vehicles. A low sloping angle helps to avoid a definite shadow, which would invite enemy observation and attack. These nets must also be properly garnished. These men are gathering local deposits of desert and volcanic mud and soil. From such sources come many pigments, useful for making camouflage paints, which will blend with the local terrain. The mud and soil need only be ground up and combined with a suitable binder, such as water, lime, salt, or casein. The resulting paint withstands normal conditions fairly well, but it can be removed when necessary by scrubbing with soap and water. In camouflaging a vehicle with this paint, a pattern is first outlined in chalk. Different sections are marked according to the color they are to be painted. The paint may be applied by hand. In this manner, a certain amount of texture will be obtained. Brushes are also used, whether the paint is made from local natural deposits or is of standard camouflage manufacture. The entire vehicle is covered with a pattern which obscures its regular form, so that it will be difficult to recognize in local terrain. It is not necessary or desirable to match the local terrain exactly, since tactical operations may bring about frequent change of surroundings. Disruptive painting need only blend in general color or tone with the local natural pattern. Such painting will provide good concealment when used in conjunction with natural foliage placed about the vehicle. The canvas hood of a vehicle should be removed or rolled up whenever possible, because it casts a very dark shadow which will be easily picked up in most terrain. Shiny, reflective surfaces, such as windshields and headlights, may be covered with brush and with dust held to the glass with a film of grease or oil. Paint or cloth can be substituted for dust and oil. Tanks are also painted in patterns which disrupt the form of the vehicles and blend them into local terrain. This tank is to be disguised as a truck. The framework consists of iron pipe, which may be easily dismantled for shipment. When the framework is covered with canvas, it simulates the body of a truck. The steel structure is designed to fasten securely onto the tank. Trip handles allow the framework to be quickly and simply discarded when the tank goes into combat. The canvas-covered framework, which simulates a vehicle hood, is also easily removed. When this framework is covered with cloth and painted in appropriate colors, it is mounted on a quarter-ton truck and will appear as a light tank at 1,000 yards. The framework is very simply attached to a quarter-ton truck and does not interfere with the operation of the vehicle. Two brackets are used to connect the front of the framework with the front bumpers of the quarter-ton truck. The rear of the framework rests firmly on the rear bumpers. Cloth is used to cover the assembled framework. It is cut beforehand in appropriate shapes and sizes. The men handling the cloth covers must be very careful to keep all surfaces tight and firm so that there will be no wrinkles or sagging which might give the dummy away. The dummy construction is then lifted over the vehicle so as to fit into the proper groove in the brackets and bumpers. Openings in front of the radiator prevent interference with the cooling system of the quarter-ton truck. The driver must move the dummy so as to avoid as much as possible a light bouncing movement, which a real tank does not have. From an observation plane, the dummy tanks in motion look real, except for the lack of dust and tracks common to actual tanks. Some form of drag may be towed just behind the dummy in order to create the necessary dust clouds. Dummy tanks are moved more realistically along a concrete highway because real tanks moving on such a hard surface do not make tracks or dust trails such as those in the background. In general, dummy tanks provide a camouflage method of deceiving the enemy as to the intended operations of our troops. Camouflage, therefore, is not only a defensive means of protection against enemy action. It is, above all, an offensive means of deceiving the enemy with the type, strength, location, and intention of our forces.